Welcome to our broadcast, brought to you by Dell Expert Network. I'm your host, Kenna Johnson from the Channel Company. McKinsey's research shows that companies with high ethnic diversity are 39% more likely to outperform their peers. Dell Technologies is deeply committed to fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion within its workforce, recognizing a diverse team drives innovation and better business outcomes. Joining me today to talk about Dell's commitment to DEI is Mobolaji Sokunbi. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kenna.
Mobolaji, can you share a little bit about yourself and your role at Dell Technologies?
Currently, I oversee strategic pursuits for Dell Small Business in the U.S. Prior to that, I was a director for the alternative routes to market for Dell Small Business in the Americas. So I covered the U.S., Canada, and Brazil. I'm very passionate about working with entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm committed to seeing them grow, to seeing them, flourish in their journey. And I love that whole process from start to finish as they scale the business and hopefully become a unicorn. That is part of one of the key reasons I brought me to Dell. That is one of the key reasons why I enjoy doing what I do. So that's a little bit about me.
How does Dell ensure DEI goals are integrated into its overall business strategy?
In order to answer that question, it's important to first of all understand, what Dell's DEI mission and vision is. In November of 2019, Dell enacted or shared a plan called the Progress Made Real 2030 report. And what the report really addressed was that, by 2030, Dell's goal is to have 50% of the global workforce be women and also 40% of the global people leaders be women. That's part of that goal. An additional part of the goal also was that, Dell wanted to make sure that by 2030, 25% of the US workforce and 50% of the US people leaders will be those that identify as Black, African-American, or US Hispanics or Latinos. And so that is at the heart of what Dell's DEI goals are all about. So if you now look at today, there are different ways where Dell is trying to make sure that the DEI goals is integrated into the overall business strategy. The first one is around the leadership commitment. Dell's leadership actively champions DEI efforts. They want to ensure that these goals are not just HR initiatives, but part of the community's strategic priorities. That's number one. The second piece is around the hiring and workforce development. Dell has set clear targets for increasing representation of underrepresented groups, including women, minorities across different levels of the organization. You see in what we do, you see in some of our partnerships with HBCUs, you see in some of our partnerships even with the National Society of Black Engineers. And the third piece, kind of to address your question, is around Dell creating like an inclusive workplace culture. Dell fosters a culture where inclusion is embedded in everyday operations. They offer training programs to reduce bias, to promote allyship, and ensure that all employees feel a sense of belonging. The employee resource groups, which we do have quite a number of them, also play a major role in supporting this inclusive culture also.
What specific strategies does Dell use to increase the representation of the underrepresented groups in the workforce?
Dell employs a variety of strategies designed to attract, retain, and diverse talent across the organization. Some of the strategies, one includes, inclusive hiring practices. At Dell Technologies, we try to develop a diverse talent pipeline. So Dell actively partners with organizations that support diverse talent, such as HBCUs, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, Women Focus Group, veterans, organizations supporting people with disabilities. These organizations and entities participate in diverse career fairs, in conjunction with Dell, and recruitment events to access a wider pool of candidates. That's the first one. Also, Dell focuses on a bias-free recruitment. That's very important in today's climate. It's always been important, but more important in today's climate. The company implements tools and trains to minimize unconscious bias in the hiring process. This includes training or hiring managers on recognizing and mitigating bias and making sure that there are structured interviews to ensure fair assessment of candidates. And the other piece around, what Dell is doing, for inclusive hiring practice is around, the internships and early career programs. Dell invests in programs like internships and apprenticeships targeted towards underrepresented groups to create pathways into the company. The other one is around employee resource groups. Employee resource groups, ERGs, are massive at Dell. Dell has, to my knowledge, 13 ERGs. Those groups are designed to support diverse communities within the company, offering resources, networking, support for employees from various backgrounds. I've been part and involved in some of these ERGs, namely the Black Networking Alliance. I've seen the impact of these ERGs. And what these ERGs do, Kenna, is that they provide support networks, also serve as a great avenue and ground for talent development. ERGs often play a role in leadership development, sponsor mentorship, coaching, and so on and so forth. And then the final thing on that question is around the leadership piece, right? The leadership accountability and metrics. right? Dell has representation goals in place as part of the strategy, right? They want to make sure that, when they have this goal set, they can work towards this goal. That's why the company made a public commitment, around, their 2031 short goals that was launched in 2019 to make sure that women and underrepresented minorities have a voice and have a say and are part of the culture. So those are some of the avenues and key ways that Dell focuses on to make sure that, the DEI effort comes to the top.
Can you provide some examples of how employee resource groups have positively impacted Dell's corporate culture?
Employee resource groups, ERGs at Dell have always had a profound positive impact on the company's corporate culture, right? They help to foster inclusivity. They help to enhance our employee engagement. They help drive innovation. The best way to answer that question is to actually give you particular examples of certain ERGs and what they do. So if you look at the Women in Action, for instance, this ERG focuses on empowering women at Dell by providing networking opportunities, leadership, development, and advocacy. Through the Women in Action, Dell has increased female representation in leadership roles, contributing to the company's goal of having 40% of its leaders be women by 2030. That's a very good one. And the impact that the Women in Action also creates, for Dell and for our customers, right, that do feel in this impact is that it has contributed to a culture where women feel supported and valued, enhancing retention and career progression for female employees. Another way Dell does this is through support by supporting personal and professional development. I mentioned earlier the Black Networking Alliance, which I'm part of. BNA, Black Networking Alliance that is, aims to provide networking, mentorship, and career development opportunities for Black employees at Dell. This particular ERG has created platforms for employees to share their experiences, develop their skills, and access leadership training. A good example of, one of the BNA or the significance of BNA is during the pandemic, when there was a lot of civil unrest in the States, and we had the George Floyd murder, right, in May 2020. BNA was very impactful in terms of working with our leadership team to create a platform, an avenue, a space where employees were willing to discuss, some of the challenges or some of the internal anguish they were experiencing dealing with all of the stuff going on in the States. So the impact BNA created, allowed for visibility for Black employees. It provided them with opportunities for career growth. Another one, which is very important, is, around enhancing employee engagement and retention. We have a Pride ERG at Dell Technologies. This ERG focuses on creating a supportive environment for LGBTQ plus employees at Dell. It plays a key role in driving inclusion by organizing, Pride Month events. It advocates for the inclusive policies and also helps in educating the broader workforce on LGBTQ plus issues, which oftentimes, a lot of folks are not even aware of. Pride also supports Dell recruitment efforts by promoting the company as an inclusive employer for LGBTQ plus talent. The impact that Pride has, in terms of the bigger ramifications is that they help to create a workplace where LGBTQ plus employees feel supported and heard and respected. They also help in contributing to high levels of employee engagement and retention. So those are some ways, when you look at our DI programs and our ERG programs, this is some avenues whereby drive some sort of positive impact within the organization.
Clearly, Dell is making the effort, but how does Dell measure the success of its DEI initiatives, and how can MSPs benefit from these metrics?
That's a great question. Dell measures the success of DEI initiatives through a combination of quantitative metrics, hence those numbers we put in place when the company set those goals in 2019, and qualitative feedback, focusing on workplace representation, engagement, and so on and so forth. So one of the ways to do that is, number one, look at our workforce representation metrics. So tracking representation goals is important for the company. Dell uses representation targets as a key measure of success, such as its commitment to ensure that women make up 50% of its workforce and 40% of its leadership by 2030. Similar goals are also set for underrepresented racial and ethnic groups, particularly in leadership roles. How MSPs can benefit from this is that MSPs can set and track their own representation goals based on the demographics of their workforce and leadership. By regularly measuring the diversity of their teams, MSPs can ensure that they're making progress and building towards an inclusive workplace. This can also help them identify areas where recruitment or promotion processes might need to be adjusted or tweaked to ensure equitable opportunities for all groups. Another avenue is, through employee engagement and retention. Employee surveys are so important in terms of tracking this and measuring this, right? Dell regularly conducts employee engagement surveys that include questions about employee experience with inclusion, belonging, and fairness. These surveys help to provide growth and leadership support and overall job satisfaction. Why this is relevant for the MSP is that MSPs can implement regular surveys or feedback loops to understand how their DI initiatives impact employees' morale and retention. They can get real-time feedback to understand, okay, is this working? Isn't this working? What do I need to revise? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to stop doing? By identifying patterns in employee satisfaction, MSPs can adjust their policies or programs to better support diverse groups. This can, of course, lead to improved retention rates and a more inclusive company culture. And I think the final one, I mean, there's so many I can go with you, but the final one I like to call out is around the business impact and innovation. Innovation metrics are so important, right? So Dell measures how diversity contributes to innovation by evaluating the outcomes of diverse teams, particularly in product development and customer service. Diverse teams are known to drive innovation through varied perspectives and creative problems. There was a McKinsey research that came out a while back that shows that companies with a high ethnic diversity are 39% more likely to outperform their peers. So this is very, very crucially important. Now, how this benefits MSPs? MSPs can track how diversity enhances innovation within their service offerings, right? They can foster a diverse workforce. Then MSPs can, with that, benefit from broader perspectives that lead to better solutions for their clients. So tracking these metrics are important. That's why Dell laid out that goal in 2019 to say, you know what, we need to work towards something. And every year they do track that to make sure that, we still tracking towards that goal.
Mobolaji, how do you actively support or promote DEI initiatives outside of your professional responsibilities?
Yes, Ken, I actually do that on a couple of fronts. So one is through my foundation, the 234 Project Foundation. This is a foundation I co-founded with a good friend of mine that offers mentorship, runs boot camps for our kids around employability workshops, around getting them prepped, for the corporate world. And this is something that we run in West Africa. What we found out a few years ago was that there's a lot of opportunity in Nigeria around making sure that, youths are heard and youths are seen and youths are empowered, because if that happens, then the sky's the limit for them. And so every year, my co-founder and I, Akimboro, we take a trip to Nigeria and we run employability workshops for students in university, for students in high school, we run pitch competitions. And then for the younger students in elementary school, we run a lot of programs around, getting them prepped, to choose a career as they do grow and evolve. And then more importantly, for the young girls out there, we noticed that there were particular areas of Nigeria that we visited that we didn't see a lot of girls in schools. And that was because when it comes to that time of the month, a lot of young girls did not show up in the classroom because they couldn't afford sanitary pads. It's a situation often referred to as period poverty. And it's been known that in certain parts of Nigeria, girls can miss about 25% of their schooling life or schooling existence, from not being able to afford sanitary pads. So making sure that we have a program in place that can provide these pads and, provide students, with the right tools to have them succeed is important. So that's something I do every single year. That's one. And then secondly, based on my knowledge I've acquired over the years, based on my work with small business owners, with entrepreneurs, with founders in the States, I often work and partner with female founders across the globe to spend time with them on whatever project or whatever aspect of their startup they're working on. Early this year, I worked with the U.S. Department of State to collaborate with a female founder in Bangkok, Thailand. I got a chance to go out to Bangkok and I worked with Misa Isomura, who is focused on building out a number of yoga studios. So we had a great time talking about a business plan, give her some advice, provide some mentorship, collaborated with her on different aspects of a business plan, and also got a chance to also connect with a number of female founders out there. And to cap it all off, we also put on and implemented a pitch competition at the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok. So these are some of the things I do outside of work to make sure that, my DEI initiatives or what I feel about DEI is supported in my community.
In addition to DEI initiatives, you help MSPs grow their business in other ways. How can MSPs strengthen their brand presence on LinkedIn?
Helping managed service providers, MSPs, build a strong brand presence on LinkedIn is the key strategy for business growth. I strongly believe that. As LinkedIn is a powerful platform for networking, thought leadership, and lead generation. Of course, some folks might have a different point of view on LinkedIn, but I've always believed that. Some of the avenues or ways to do that an MSP can explore that is, number one, they can optimize their company and personal profile. Company page optimization, I believe, is crucial for an MSP. Today in the States, based on the news outlet or the information outlet, there's anywhere from 20 to 40,000 MSPs in the US, and that number is growing by the day. So standing out is important, right? So having a page that's optimized can ensure that the MSP's LinkedIn company has a company description. The MSP wants to make sure that the professional logo, the banner, relevant keywords are present there. The page should clearly communicate the MSP services, industry focus, and value proposition. It needs to include sections for specialties, services offered, and company values like D&I or sustainability. Another one is around actually the MSP, their own personal profile of leaders, right? I always encourage MSP leadership to optimize their personal LinkedIn profiles. Why? Because profiles should include headshots. What do you look like, right? I mean, your headshot says a lot about you, right? Do you have a compelling headline or compelling headlines? Do your summaries reflect what you really do? Oftentimes, you read that description of what people do, you're kind of lost in the jargon. You don't understand what they really do. There has to be some clarity to it. In a very, very competitive space, you need to stand out. You need to be on point. You need to be precise. Leaders should highlight their personal role in the company's growth and also try to showcase both the technical skills and their leadership qualities. That's one. Second piece is around developing thought leadership content. MSPs should, look into publishing articles and insights. MSPs can establish themselves as industry leaders by publishing articles, blog posts, and insights on LinkedIn. I take special pride in this personally as someone that often works with small business owners and entrepreneurs. I talk about, different ecosystems. If I go to Atlanta, I'll talk about the Atlanta ecosystem. If I go to Toronto, I'll talk about the Toronto ecosystem. That's how people are going to learn more. And oftentimes people will come to me and say, hey, Mobolaji, tell me more about that area. I'm trying to get into that area as a founder. Tell me more about it. So also for MSPs, it's important that they need to talk about topics they're very passionate about. So topics could include emerging technologies, trends, cybersecurity best practices, cloud solutions. It could be case studies that highlight how their services solve client challenges. Regularly publishing insightful, value-driven content positions the MSP as a trusted expert. And that's how they will also potentially get more clients. And they can also engage with industry trends, sharing and commenting on industry news, attending virtual events, participating in discussions on LinkedIn groups. I can also increase the MSP's visibility. The more actively the MSP engages with relevant topics, the more likely they will be noticed by potential clients and partners. And I think the last one, just for the sake of time, is to collaborate with influencers and partners. Collaborating with industry influencers is a big deal, right? So partnering with industry influencers or thought leaders in the space can extend the MSP's reach to new audiences. So collaborate on webinars, joint posts, or interviews with recognized experts in the managed services or tech space can boost credibility and attract new followers. And under collaborating also, there are opportunities for partner showcases, highlighting the collaborations or successful partnerships with other tech companies, vendors, or key clients can also strengthen the MSP's brand and also help to showcase them as a trusted person that potential clients can work with.
What strategies can MSPs use to effectively leverage LinkedIn for business growth?
MSPs can use LinkedIn as a powerful platform for business growth by employing strategic approaches to build credibility, right? A couple come to mind. Number one, MSPs can showcase client success stories and case studies. It's almost like, when a client sees something working for another client that they have a particular need for or a pain point, they can relate. So case studies are so powerful. They're so potent, right? So posting detailed case studies that demonstrate how the MSP helped the client solve a complex IT problem or achieve a business goal can provide powerful social proof. Case studies that include specific results such as cost savings, improved security, or enhanced efficiency build trust with prospective clients, right? That's one. Content marketing and thought leadership, right, Kenna? Regular postings, as I mentioned earlier, is crucial. So MSPs should consistently share relevant and insightful content that highlights their industry expertise. This can include posts on technology trends. Posting regularly helps maintain visibility and establish the MSP as a thought leader in this field. Why? As I mentioned earlier, the market is saturated. There are tens of thousands of MSPs in the US alone. So the market is quite crowded. That's one. Two, there's so much technological advancements out there. So rapid developments in technology from cloud to cybersecurity to AI means that the MSP must continually adapt to stay competitive. And finally, price sensitivity. Many MSPs operate in a very, very price sensitive market. So it's important, right, that they have a way to stand out. Other ways, long form articles. Publishing long form articles on LinkedIn is a good way for MSPs to dive deeper into the industry insights and showcase their technical expertise. Articles on topics like cloud migration, IT infrastructure, security, best practices can actually draw attention to the MSP and also get the interest of business decision makers to take a closer look at them. And having the right video content, video, right? MSPs can use video content to explain complex technical concepts in simple terms. I know the impact of this, especially during the pandemic where it was nearly impossible. Frankly, early on in the pandemic, it was impossible to go visit with clients, right? Because of the health ramifications. And so we lean quite heavily at Dell on video content to actually explain certain concepts to our customers. MSPs can lean on that also, right? To make sure that they can use that to demonstrate how their services solve specific business challenges client testimonials, product demos, explainer videos can also help engage prospective clients. And finally, on this topic, I'd like to talk about also MSPs can leverage LinkedIn groups. They can join industry-specific groups. LinkedIn groups related to IT services, cybersecurity. They offer valuable opportunity for the MSPs to connect with industry peers. They can also create and manage a group. MSPs can also create their own LinkedIn group focused on IT trends or business technology solutions by regularly posting content and engaging with fellow members. The MSPs can position itself or herself or himself rather, as a thought leader while creating a community of potential clients and partners. So those are different strategies they can employ.
Marketing can be a challenge for MSPs. What tools and resources are available to help MSPs enhance their LinkedIn marketing efforts?
There are several tools and resources available to help MSPs enhance their LinkedIn marketing efforts. These tools assist with everything from content creation to management to analytics and lead generation. Ultimately, they will allow the MSPs to build stronger brand visibility, engage more effectively. So if you look at LinkedIn, right, there are a number of LinkedIn native tools out there. So the first one is like LinkedIn ads. That comes to mind, right? MSPs can use LinkedIn ad platform to run targeted advertising campaigns in that specific industries, job roles, geographic areas. The platform allows for various ad formats such as sponsored content, sponsored emails, and display ads, right? That's one. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a big one. This is a premium LinkedIn tool designed for advanced lead generation and prospecting. It allows the MSP to create custom searches, receive tailored lead recommendations, and track engagement with prospects, which is important for an MSP that's trying to build their client base, right? LinkedIn Analytics, LinkedIn Events. LinkedIn Events feature enables MSPs to create, promote, and host webinars, virtual networking events, or educational sessions. So that's one avenue. Another one is around content creation and management tools. Hootsuite is a popular social media management platform that, a lot of folks use, even non-MSPs use it, right? MSPs can lean on this to schedule and manage LinkedIn posts in advance. It also provides analytics on engagement and helps track performance across multiple social channels. That way, MSPs can figure out what is resonating with their audience and what's not, right? Canva, which oftentimes a lot of creative professionals use. MSPs can use Canva. It's a graphic design tool that MSPs can use to create professional, visually appealing graphics for LinkedIn posts, ads, and company banners. It offers customizable templates for social media, making it easier to create branded content and also allows them to stand out. And I think the last piece on this, there's so many examples I can share with you, is around training and educational resources. LinkedIn Learning. I love LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning offers courses on social media marketing, LinkedIn marketing, on business development. I'm passionate about business development. So, so I often go and check out what LinkedIn Learning has to offer on that topic. MSPs can use this resource to train their teams on best practice for LinkedIn marketing, for lead generation, for personal branding. Courses such as build a personal brand comes to mind on LinkedIn, social study on LinkedIn, and some courses I've checked out in the past. I know MSPs can benefit a whole lot out of. Another one under training and educational resources would be around LinkedIn marketing blogs. The LinkedIn marketing blog is a great resource for staying updated on the latest features, best practices, case studies related to LinkedIn marketing. MSPs can gain insights on how other companies successfully use LinkedIn for business growth from LinkedIn marketing blog.
Mobolaji, this has been incredibly insightful, and I definitely learned a lot. Where can we learn more?
To learn more about our Dell Expert Network program, you can visit dell.com/expert network. To learn more about Dell's commitment to DEI, you can visit, of course, Dell.com and scroll down and click on the Who We Are tab. And to learn more about the foundation I do support in West Africa, please do visit the 234 projectfoundation.com, where we do amazing work to support young girls to make sure they don't miss out on school, and we help out young entrepreneurs that want to change the world.
Mobolaji, it's clear you have a passion for DEI, and so does Dell Technologies.
Thank you, Kenna. Thanks for having me.
And thank you at home for watching. For the Channel Company, I'm Kenna Johnson.